Welcome back, everybody. In today's episode of Cooking with Kirby, we're going to be smoking up some carnitas for some tacos, and we're going to be doing it on the Pit Boss, and that's coming up.
Since you're here, hit the like and subscribe button, and make sure that the notification bell is rang. Check me out on social media, that way you can get notification of all my new recipes.
To start off with our first ingredient, this is country style pork ribs. It's basically a shoulder pork roast, and the butchers, they basically just cut them into smaller strips. So go ahead and cube them up. This is actually 6.5 pounds. I got some company coming over, and we're gonna just have some good eats. But you do want to cut them into smaller pieces so that way you can get the marinade all over it. So let's go to the marinade. Okay, so first I started off with 5 guajillo chilies, and I got 3 serrano chilies in there. I went ahead and boiled these for about 20 minutes. I have them right here just cooling down. So we're gonna actually be putting that in the blender pretty soon. 2 limes, 1 sweet orange, a half of an onion. Now before we put this in the blender, we're gonna be quartering this half of onion. 4 cloves of garlic, 1 teaspoon of chopped bay leaves. If you have, whole bay leaves, just go ahead and use about 2 of them. 1 teaspoon of cumin, 2 teaspoons of Mexican oregano, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, and finally we're gonna be needing some tomato sauce, and then we're of course salt. I want to say roughly about 2 teaspoons because when it comes to marinade, wet marinades, you want to make sure that the sodium level is a little bit higher because it's not going to transfer all into the meat. So just when you taste the flavor in the marinade, just make sure that it's just a little bit more saltier than what you would like your food to be. All right, so we're going to take our hydrated chili pods and the serranos that I boiled up. We're going to go ahead and place them in our blender. Now I took the seeds out of the chili pods before I put them in the water. If you want it a little bit spicier, just go ahead and leave the seeds in there. Go ahead and add in our remaining of our ingredients. Yeah, I made this one time, and man, this was a really great combination. It had a nice flavor to it, a little bit of heat, sweet, and quartering your onions really helps out getting it blended. Okay, and then the sweet orange, man, this flavor is awesome. Now when it comes to lemons or limes, you could use lemons if you don't have any limes. That's not a big deal. I use lemon also for this recipe. All right, let's go ahead and get the top on there, and let's go ahead and give this a blend. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and add in our salt. I'll start off with just 1 teaspoon, but most likely it's gonna take 2 teaspoons of salt. All right, we'll go ahead and add in 1 teaspoon. This is fine kosher salt. Go ahead and give this a mix. Let's go ahead and check for seasoning. Yeah, it's gonna need that other teaspoon of salt. Gonna give it a mix. Try it again. Perfect. Let's get our pork. All right, so you don't want to overcrowd your bags. You want a little bit of space because you want this marinade to get all into the meat. You want to try to coat every single piece of meat, with the marinade. Now this marinade is roughly, it marinates roughly about 5 pounds of meat. This is a little over 5 pounds, about like 6.5. But if you're going to be doing less than 5 pounds of meat, just use half of this marinade and put it in the freezer. Put in the remainder in the Ziploc bag, put it in the freezer. That way you can have backup, pull it out and marinate whatever you're good. This is good on chicken, good on pork. So we're gonna go ahead and drop in about half of this. And you wanna make sure that this cools down. This has been out, after I boiled the chilies and everything. So this isn't hot, this is, room temperature. Yeah, so that looks like it's gonna be enough for this bag. Go ahead and seal this up. Let out some of the air. Just make sure that you get that marinade all over the meat. Now, when it comes to letting it sit, me personally, if I have the time, I like to do this the night before. That way the meat has a very good time to be able to sit in this marinade, and it absorbs all those flavors. That way when you cook it, it's fully marinated. You got all the flavors from this marinade. But if you don't have the time to be able to do it beforehand, go ahead and do this at least 4 hours. You do notice a difference when you let this marinade sit. Same thing with all my marinades. You know, I like to do them the day before. You know, at least 24 hours. Carne asada. When I do carne asada, which I have that on my channel too, I like to let that sit for 48 hours. You can tell a huge difference out of you know, just if you're gonna be cooking up carne asada on say Friday and you get off of work, just go ahead and, you know, marinate it on Wednesday, and by the time you cook it on Friday, it's gonna be awesome. But yeah, I don't have that time today, so I'm probably gonna let this marinate for about 4 hours. But like I did, you know, said, if you can let this marinate for longer, at least overnight, that's best. But I don't have that time today. But let's get this in the fridge, and I'll actually see you guys out in the smoker when it's time to cook these up. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and turn on our pellet grill. And we're just gonna go ahead and set this to 350 degrees. This is gonna be a hot and fast cook, so we're gonna let it come to temp. Now that we have the pellet grill on, you wanna go ahead and leave this lid open. When this starts off letting out some smoke, that first initial smoke is some bad smoke, so go ahead and leave it open and it'll just clear itself out. As you can see, it's starting to get a little smoky right now, but for some reason, I guess, you know, it's gotta catch those wood pellets on, you know, on fire. So it does put out like some really, really bad smoke. As you can see, it's getting a lot more smoke coming out, but for some reason, it sounds like a turbine kicks in and it just like clears it all out. See, it's like real thick smoke, but that the fan did just kick on right now, so it's gonna clear it all out right now. All right, once it clears it out, just go ahead and close it up, let it come to temp. All right, so once you got your grill all to temp, let's go ahead and lay down our carnitas. Now, I've let these marinate for 3 days. That's a good thing about this marinade. If you don't have time to cook it, you just leave it in the bag, let it do its thing. But 3 days is definitely gonna get a really nice flavor on the meat, so I can't wait to see how this comes out. All right, so we got everything in there. We're gonna go ahead and close it up, let it start cooking, and I'm gonna check on it in about 45 minutes. All right, let's take a look. All right, so I actually let it go for about 1 hour and 20 minutes. I gave it a flip. Yeah, we're looking good. Let's go ahead and pull them out real quick. Just wanted to give it some color, you know, kind of crisp them up a little bit. So I'm actually gonna take these in and I'm gonna wrap them up in some foil paper. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and place our little packet, foil packet with our carnitas in there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just pour in 1/2 cup of apple juice. All right, so we're gonna let that hang out. And I'll check back on it in about 30 minutes or so. So now that we got the pork wrap, all we're waiting for it to do is just soften up on us. Usually carnitas is, you know, shredded and soft and pull apart, so that's what we're trying to achieve. So about 30 minutes is usually what it takes, but sometimes it does take 45 minutes. Just, you know, check at your discretion. If it's pull apart, it's ready to go. So we'll check back in about 30 minutes. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Take a little peek. Yeah, they're done. Oh yeah, they're good. All right, let's get them out. Okay, and we heat up a corn tortilla. Now for this, I love making tacos with it. You can put whatever toppings. I got a whole bunch of toppings that I'm gonna be putting on this. So we're gonna go ahead and get some of our carnitas. Nice, it's nice. Go ahead and add a little bit of salsa. A little bit of guacamole. Now, if you check my Mexican recipes, I have a couple recipes for guacamole. Some really fine sliced cabbage. And just top it with some pico de gallo. All right, now to finish it off, just a little bit of lime juice right there on top. That right there, folks, is my carnita tacos. Cheers, y'all. Explosion of flavor. Just layers of flavor, just you get everything. Awesome. The flavor on that pork is really, really nice. And then you pair it with all the stuff that I put on the taco, it's fantastic. If you're new to my channel, consider hitting the subscribe button. That way you see future videos just like this. As always, I'll leave a link in the video description and in the comment section so that we can go to my website, cookingwithkirby.com, to get the full printable recipes. I have these recipes. They're really good. You should try them out. Now y'all be beautiful and take care.